I wanted to actually right away just say congratulations. I didn't know, I only discovered Covenant from this recent album. I got to check it out early. And I want to right away kind of congratulate you. That second album, right? It's coming out. And it's truly heavy, moody album. I'll be honest, I initially had some doubts about when I first began the album, but by the end, it just won me over completely.
Oh, thank you. That's great to hear.
How are you feeling? Is it exciting, nervous, anxious perhaps for the new album coming out?
Yeah, a bit of everything. I mean, it's kind of the hard follow-up because we were completely blown away by the reception of our first album, Puritan Masochism. We got a lot of very positive feedback, which we had not expected.
That's nice.
So we kind of feel like there's something to live up to with the second one. Yeah, but really excited. There's a lot of things to plan and a lot of things to do up here in the final week of before the release.
Before the release, right? Actually, as soon as I finished the second album, I'm like, okay, I got to go back. And I listened to the first. I listened to the first album right off from front to back. I'm like, man, this is good. And I usually don't go to doom. Well, I mean, I don't want to categorize it, but I usually don't go like to kind of doomy metal. And as soon as I turned it on, it's like, no, this is awesome. It's like there was no doubt in my mind. So I see where the praise came from. I think it's very, very well deserved.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
And what I wanted to know, I've always been interested for various bands that I've been interviewing. I always ask these kinds of questions is, was there ever a moment, because I assume you guys are probably like friends or old friends coming together to form the band. Was there like a moment for you guys where it's just like, we need to start this, we need to do this?
So actually when, back in the beginning in 2015, our bassist, Heidi, she had a dream of starting a band for many years at that point. But she wasn't really that trained in playing the bass. She played a bit of guitar, and she was looking for people to start a band with, but everyone she asked said no. And then one day her roommate, who's the drummer in a Danish band called Dirt Forge, he started teaching my older sister the drums. She'd wanted to suddenly take up the drums. And then Heidi thought, okay, I need to get in contact with this girl ASAP and ask if she wants to start something. And they did, and it was sort of a way for them to practice their instruments and get better as well. And then the rest is history.
You know what? It's she's the dreamer, right? It's like you have the high dream, go for it, just jump off the plank and go for it. That's awesome. I like that. I'm myself very much like that, so I can relate to that right away. And I'm sure, as I'm trying to compile the kind of questions, I tried my hardest not to go into like very typical directions. And something I saw, maybe it's my own analysis, maybe I'm wrong here. It's like I'm sure it comes up a lot in questions of people, even in marketing, I kind of see it. Is this idea of a female death doom kind of a metal band. And although as a fan of metal, I'm super happy that it's becoming less and less of a boys club and women are kicking more and more ass. But do you ever feel like undermined somehow by that characterization that people want to say, oh, it's a female death doom metal band, or not at all?
I definitely feel like we can't really escape that stigma. I think that actually when I first joined the band, it was kind of with like my fist raised, because I was expecting like a lot of attacks or a lot of like very negative comments based on our gender. But we have been very like lucky to not have experienced that much. Of course, there's been a bit.
Of course,
but not that much, or as much as I had expected initially, actually. So but I, hopefully when we get out there and we talk to people like you and we tell our story of how the band got together and all that, people will realize that it's not, some record company who designed a band, because that's sort of the prejudice you sort of get with like an all-female band,
stereotype of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there could have been guys in Konvent, but as I said earlier, no one wanted to join a band with Heidi in the beginning. None of her male friends.
Yeah, and you know what it is? For me, it's like I've been listening to, like, I'm 34 years old. My older brother raised me on heavy metal. Like, I've been into it since like Warlock and Girls School and Holy Moses, which a lot of people forget. Holy Moses, I thought was a great band. The female vocalist was kicking ass. And most recently, somebody like Angela and Elisa from Arch Enemy, Crypta, you guys yourselves. I personally just wanted to kind of say, again, just kind of reiterate this thing. You guys came out swinging and swinging hard. You have nice and brutal vocals. Yeah, I really appreciate that metal has become less and less this elitist mindset and a lot more inclusive. And it's just like, it almost doesn't matter. Is the music good? And that's all people go for.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I think the worst in like any subgenre, any aspect of life is elitism.
Yeah.
And when a band or like just a music, if you as a music fan, when your lifestyle becomes more about image than about what do you actually like to listen to, and is your music taste or your music that you create, is that based on like the fear of what other people might think, and like, what if I take any chances? Oh no, I better like keep doing the same album that I've been doing for the past 20 years because I'm afraid to take chances and stuff like that.
And you know what is, we as fans, we don't have that connection. The only way I started getting that understanding and building that connection is talking to, you know, women and men of heavy metal and getting this perspective. And you start realizing even some of the things I would say. It's like, man, that was kind of a dick thing to say. It's like you don't fully appreciate all the effort and all the time, all the sacrifice, all the people are really making. You just see the front page image of a really cool metal album cover and you guys in those badass leather jackets, and it's like we don't see everything else that transpires behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like in Konvent we want to take our music seriously, but we don't want to take ourselves seriously.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, it's cool to get some, you know, have some cool band photos taken, but we can also laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
And you know, it doesn't have to be so perfect and serious all the time. I think that would be very very annoying to
I agree with you.
to keep going for a long time.
I can name bands I've seen live that, like Immortal, Abs does not take himself seriously at all. And then you go to another band, Absu, and it's like, dude, you don't need to do the harsh vocals between songs. You could talk to us normally. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
And what I wanted to say is, again, it's I am, you know, I'm also European, so we tend to be very forward in the idea of, like, I want to be completely transparent. In the beginning, when I first heard the vocals, I didn't get it. I'll be honest with you. But as the time went by, and especially after repeat of the lesson, like the album, not only did I start liking the vocals, I kind of got exactly the reason thematically, musically, why I thought you would choose these kinds of vocals for the band. But how did you personally settle, like, this is the kind of style that I want to do for this band and the way it's going to sound?
Yeah, so I'd actually started taking metal vocal classes with a friend of mine, I think about 6 months before Konvent became a thing. Just because I'd, you know, ever since I started going to metal concerts and seeing all these bands that I loved playing live, I was just so blown away by their technique. And I didn't understand how you could, first of all, do that only using your body, but also do that every night, maybe for months in a row, weeks in a row, like if you're on tour, and not like ruin your voice, stuff like that. So I've just been so fascinated by that technique for many years. And finally I like gathered my courage and asked my friend who I knew was giving lessons. And I just tried it because I was so curious. And then it was fun. Like it was a fun thing to do, and I just kept doing it. And then when the girls asked if I wanted to sing in Konvent, it was just like the logical choice.
One on one.
To do that vocals, and I feel like it fits really well with the slow, heavy music.
I agree. It's like the really deep growls with like sometimes like almost like a screeching. Like you do, I at least I noticed I'm still got to listen to it more and more, but it's like there's different styles that you kind of plug in that I think really complement the moody feel of it. Also, I tend to see a lot of whether it be Finnish, Danish, Norwegian bands. There's a lot of like melancholy and dark thematic in music. What do you think is the reason for that? Like, do you think there's some kind of cultural aspect that has that come out more in the music? Like, for example, Russia being also a very frigid country actually doesn't show up in metal a lot. Like
no, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if it has something to do with, as you say, our culture. We're very sort of introverted. As opposed to if you go to, I mean, the metal scene is huge in South America, but I feel like it makes sense that samba is from Brazil, because the people there, I've never been to Brazil, but the people just seems like much more open than we are here in Scandinavia, and it's like it's easier to talk to people or strangers if you're on the bus or in line at the grocery store or anything like that. Like there's just like in my perspective, it seems like positivity is much more present in South American culture.
I can confirm that. My wife is Colombian,
okay.
and she's a lot more open and like an open book. Whereas for me, it's like, well, I don't need to say anything. Or why do you need to know this? It's like you have to almost loosen up a little bit and relax. And I understand the introverted part as well, because that I very much relate to that. But I feel like also with this album, especially for me, especially the second album, but it has this feeling that it needs to be almost consumed from beginning to the end. It's almost like a one journey, because like I think I listened to separate songs when they came out as singles, and they didn't have the same impact until I listened to it as this whole. And as a whole, everything fits so well. Then it's like, oh, like even the song I might have said, it was okay, came out to be, man, I love this. I love it in the context of the album. Do you feel that way yourself?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that we've worked a lot on, figuring out, where to put each song, and the chronology, I think it's called, and also something that we talked a lot with our producer about. So we wanted to make sure that it made really good sense to put the songs where they are on the album. But that's great to hear that the work paid off.
Well, what it is, I've always been raised in classic rock and by my father, and then heavy metal my brother, and they always taught me the same thing, which is changed, but the idea of listen to the album from beginning to the end. The artist intended it to be that way. There's a reason why it's supposed to be that way. At least once, give it the full listen, give it the respect, and then you could pick out songs. Whereas I think now it's become more of we consume song by song. Many people don't even listen to the full album, and they'll be huge fans of the band. How do you personally ever approach that kind of with your own music listening experience, and how do you feel about this difference in consumption of music that's happened?
So I really, really love the fact that we have streaming services now. It was something that I missed, or that I really wanted to have when I was a kid. But you only had like your Discman or like your MP3 player, stuff like that. Now you just have all the music in the world available to you in your pocket. I really love that, and you can find so much new great music, and become a fan of new bands very easily. But I still miss the whole ritual of going out to a record store and going into the cool section in the corner with all the metal CDs. And just walk around. You're looking at the records, but you're sort of looking at the people there, like oh, these are all the cool kids. And then picking out the record, and you had to be careful about it, because a CD was a lot of money. You couldn't just pick like 10 CDs or whatever. But really picking out which one you wanted to listen to, and then walk home or go home, put it on, and then sit with the index folder and really read
the booklet.
lyrics. Yeah, I kind of miss that ritual, but I also really love streaming services. So my boyfriend, he has a huge record collection, and I have some records as well. And he gave me Archspire's newest album for Christmas, and I think it was it Sunday? I think, yeah, Sunday. I sat down for the first time since I got it, and put it on, and I sat with the folder and try to read the lyrics. It's kind of a challenge when it's Archspire, but but that was something that I really look forward to, and I really wanted to, because we've been so busy this year, but just sitting down with the thing and just focusing on that, I just realized how rarely I do that now, which is kind of a shame.
I think what it is. I imagine it's the same for you, but New York is a super fast-paced city, and to sit down, what you're saying, just sit down to be with yourself, just put music on, not have 5 other things going on with you, to really appreciate what's going on. It's become such a rare thing, and I think all over the world, everybody's just so busy, so moving, you're writing music, you have to go tour. I imagine that'd be a hard thing to do now.
Yeah, and also we have to be entertained all the time. So we need short videos of things and several apps open, and
As a matter of fact, I don't listen to music. I don't listen to music anymore where I have anything else open, because I always feel like I missed something. So I just put the album. Maybe I can work out, but that's about it. And just I would even go to the extremes of turning the lights off and just laying down and listen to like Reincarnation, Light of Day, Day of Darkness, and just let the whole album play through.
Wow, your blood pressure must be so low. Sounds like a great meditation.
It's a metal meditation, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of vocal? I would say either inspirations or guys or girls that you really love, that you looked up to, because you mentioned the idea of it, but I would like to know maybe some bands that you're like, oh my god, I love this vocalist. It doesn't even have to be in death metal, just kind of the idea of what you enjoy.
Yeah, so definitely the vocalist that I look up to the most is definitely Travis Ryan from Cattle Decapitation. Okay. His range is just huge, and he it seems like he has an ear for melodies. I think he plays the keyboard as well, so maybe that really helps. But he's able to do the deep growls and do various kinds of distorted sounds, but also sort of sing with a distortion on top. And I think you have to be extremely talented and hardworking vocalist to do that. But also what's he called? John Gallagher from Dying Fetus. I mean, his low growls are just the best.
There's going to be quite a few people who are going to appreciate that call out on this channel.
Great. Yeah, I really love Dying Fetus.
Yeah. When I listened to Konvent, I thought about just personally, I don't know what the inspirations were for you guys, but I heard some Celtic Frost and Triptychon. I heard my very close to my heart, Bathory, especially the older albums. And I even thought of this Mexican band that a lot of people don't know, the Chasm, which is also a death doom metal band, kind of. Also very similar sounds, where I think you guys have a little bit more groove in your music. But for you, were there anything that you pulled from, as a team? Did you guys pull from any particular sources or bands that you we would like to do something like this? Or is you just sat down and it organically kind of came to be?
Yeah, so we've never sat down and said we want to sound like this band.
Okay.
Or we want the guitar sound to be like this band, or the drums or whatever. So the way we write our music is just that we start out with some riffs that Sarah or Heidi wrote, and then we put on some drums and then vocals and stuff like that. But as far as I understand, Sarah and Julie, our drummer, they've been quite inspired by Amenra and Alcest. for this album. I think there were some other bands, but I can't remember them right now.
Okay.
But those were two inspirations. Yeah, but we've never sat down and went like, okay, which bands can we sound like?
See, that's again a very common misconception I think from fans is that we think that you sit down to put together exactly a death metal band, and now you're gonna make exactly a death metal band like a album. And it's really cool to see how organic it is of you just guys sitting down, start writing music, and whatever comes organically comes. That's a really cool to hear.
Yeah, and actually, I think doom is the genre that we all listen to the least. Actually, it's very random that we ended up writing music that's sort of this death doomy genre. I mean, we do listen to some, but I think we listen to other genres more.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I like it, but you have to be in a particular mood. And like I've talked to Tomas from Wolfheart and Dawn of Solace, and like just for him, this is what everything he's ever created has to be like, was always in that sound. Again, also just like you, not on purpose, just the way he likes it. And again, it's just kind of interesting to see that that's the least one for you, but came out to be the highlight of the band. And who knows, maybe in the future you guys will just keep evolving and changing and doing different things that will evolve the sound.
Yeah.
And
hopefully.
You guys are from Denmark, Copenhagen, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's a home to many awesome metal bands like Artillery, Merciful Fate, Volbeat. But it seems like every band has some hurdles, especially in heavy metal, that they have to jump through. Has anything like that happened to you guys in particular? And I mean, like, of course, beyond the obvious of just getting your name out there and growing as a band, but have you had any kind of things in your way trying to trip you up that you have to kind of hop over? Or
that's a good question. I think in the very beginning we had to learn how to work together as a band, and some of us are very different, like very different personalities, and we really it took a while to sort of adjust and to figure out, okay, how do we communicate and how do we avoid like conflicts and stuff like that. But I feel like we're very good at figuring out like how to talk to each other and work together now. But that was definitely a challenge in the beginning, just learning, getting to know the others and learning how to work together and learning how personal music is, because if you go to the rehearsal space and say, hey, I wrote this riff, or I wrote these drums, I wrote these lyrics, whatever, and you present them and you've put your heart and soul into it, and someone says, I don't like that, then it can feel like a personal attack. And we had a while where we had to sort of figure out that it's not a personal attack, it's just a matter of taste. And we've also learned that we can't say no to things when we rehearse. We can say, let's try and work with it, because we need to be open, in order to create stuff. And if we keep, making the same choices or sounding the same, then, we'll never evolve. And we have to take chances, even if it initially is a riff or whatever that we didn't initially like. You can always work with it and see where it goes.
I imagine it takes a little bit of foresight, right, to just kind of hold back a little bit, let it try, and who knows, might just work out better than you thought before. That's really cool. And it seems like for you guys, like writing this whole album, you probably started before the pandemic, right, to write the whole album. How has that affected you as well? Has it really kind of slowed down the process or give you room and time to write the album? And
well, so we were very lucky to we went on our release tour right before everything locked down with our former album, but we had started writing songs at that time, or new songs at that time. We were set back pretty much this time around because our rehearsal space is owned by the municipality of Copenhagen, and they decided to shut down all their facilities So we could rehearse for 5 months. So, I mean, you can write riffs at home and you can write lyrics at home, but at some point you need to put on some drums in order to develop the song. So that was that really sucked. I mean, I feel like the album has turned out pretty good, but maybe it could have been even better if we'd had these 5 months. I don't know. It's, you know, it's hard to say, but yeah, that was pretty stressful. Yeah, because you feel like the clock is ticking. You know, we had booked the studio.
To just go for it. Yeah. But I imagine as musicians, you probably are never satisfied. You'll finish the song, it's released, like, why didn't I do this? I could have done this just a little better.
Definitely, yeah. I definitely feel that way.
But I think that's also a good quality to have, because it always strives you to keep moving forward and keeps you like humble and keeps you trying hard. Whereas sometimes somebody gets, like you said, very comfortable in their skin and there's not much innovation going on. It becomes the same thing that you hear for multiple albums. I mean, and I don't mean like Iron Maiden, they've done their job. To me, in my eyes, they've done everything they had to do. Anything they release up to this point is just fan service. But for you know, their beginnings, that's where all the innovation, all the power, everything came from, and I think it kind of comes back together.
Yeah.
And of course, it's it's almost like it's almost the beginning for the band, but I imagine at the moment it's not something that fully self-sustains the band, right? You probably have to work full-time as you're producing this kind of music. So what the one that I want to say is, if you could talk a little bit about kind of that experience. I know it must be tough just balancing the two. And the second part of it will be, what's some of the bucket list things you would like to have happen with Konvent?
So I have another interview in 3 minutes, but I'll try to I'll try to make it short. Wow, I think I forgot your question already.
I'll make it shorter. I'll make it easier. Some bucket list things that you would love to achieve with the band together.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we want to play 70,000 tons of metal.
Good choice.
The cruise ship.
Yep.
That's sort of a thing that we've manifested it for many years. We want to play there.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have to make that happen. I mean, of course, we've toured Europe, but it would just be amazing to tour, you know, all around the world: Asia, the States, Canada, South America, Australia. You know, everywhere.
I'll do this because I know you have to leave. Russian people can't do without a toast, and I wanted to give you a toast of wish you guys the best year for Konvent, and let the 70,000 tons of metal happen sooner rather than later.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very
much.
Thank you very much. You enjoy the rest of your day and take care.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Bye.